Hospitals are places of healing, but they also see a lot of pain and loss. Is it any wonder they're considered some of the most haunted places on Earth? Today, we're diving into the shadows to share some of the most chilling, true stories told by the very people who walk those halls every night. Nurses, get ready, because these aren't just spooky tales. They're first-hand accounts from the front lines of the paranormal. Our first story comes from a nurse named Clara, who worked the night shift in an old pediatric ward. One night, she kept hearing the faint sound of a child giggling down the hall. Every time she went to check, the hallway was empty. The giggling would always lead her to one specific room, which had been empty for days. Feeling uneasy, she looked up the room's history. It turns out, years ago, a little girl had passed away in that very room after a long illness. The nurses on staff back then said she had the most infectious, joyful giggle. Clara says she still hears that giggle sometimes, and instead of being scared, she sees it as the little girl's spirit just wanting to play. Next, let's talk about the call light phantom. This is a surprisingly common story among nurses. A nurse named Mike told us about an elderly patient, Mr. Henderson, who was very kind but also very anxious, constantly pressing his call button for reassurance. After Mr. Henderson passed away peacefully, the call light for his now empty room started going off. Night after night, at the exact same times Mr. Henderson used to call, the light would flash. When nurses would rush to the room, they'd find it completely empty, the bed freshly made and the call button untouched. They eventually started just speaking into the empty room, saying, "Everything's okay, Mr. Henderson. You can rest now." After a week of this, the calls finally stopped. Our final story is maybe the most unsettling. A surgical nurse shared this one. She was cleaning up late after a long operation when she saw a tall, shadowy figure standing at the far end of the operating theater. She froze, thinking it was a colleague playing a prank. She called out, "Very funny, who's there?" But the figure didn't move. It just stood there, a solid black shape against the sterile white walls. Her heart was pounding. She slowly backed out of the room, never taking her eyes off it. When she peeked back in from the hallway, it was gone. She later found out that a surgeon had tragically died in that very operating room decades earlier. Other staff members admitted they'd seen the shadow surgeon too, always watching from the corners, a silent observer in his old domain. What do you think? Are these just tricks of an exhausted mind, or is something more going on in our hospitals after dark?